In 2020, the beauty YouTube community had one of its worst years on record. Tati Westbrook lost her channel. Shane Dawson lost his brand deals and went completely silent for over a year. Morphe, the biggest beauty retailer on YouTube, cut ties with both of them. James Charles survived, but barely. Laura Lee had already been gone for 2 years. And Jeffree Star, who was at the center of more drama than almost any of them, who had more allegations, more controversies, more documented racist incidents than basically anyone in the space, came out of 2020 with a $200 million net worth and a cosmetics brand doing over $100 million in annual revenue. His main distributor dropped him. He lost most of his influencer allies. His public reputation had never been lower. And none of it touched the money. By the time anyone figured out why, he had already moved to Wyoming and was raising yaks. This is the Jeffree Star story. And the business infrastructure underneath it is the most interesting thing that ever happened in the creator economy. Jeffrey Lynn Steininger Jr. was born November 15, 1985 in Riverside, California. His dad died by suicide when Jeffrey was 6 years old. He was raised by his mom, working class, not much money, in Orange County. He started wearing makeup to school in middle school, not as a performance, as just who he was. He got bullied relentlessly for it. He kept doing it. That stubbornness, the complete refusal to adjust himself to what anyone else was comfortable with, is the single thread that runs through everything he ever built. In the mid-2000s, he discovered MySpace. And on MySpace, being visually extreme was not a liability. It was a brand. He posted photos of his looks, connected with other alternative kids, started building a following that was genuinely devoted to him. By 2006, he was the most followed person on MySpace. Not the most followed musician, not the most followed beauty person, the most followed person on the entire platform. He used that following to launch a music career. He signed to Akon's label. He released an album called Beauty Killer in 2009. It peaked at number 7 on the Billboard Top Electronic Albums chart. It featured a then-unknown rapper named Nicki Minaj on a track called Lollipop Luxury. Nicki Minaj before she was Nicki Minaj, on a Jeffree Star album. That detail alone tells you how early he was to everything. The music career didn't fully take off. The label situation got complicated. He released music independently for a few more years and then largely stepped back from it. But here's what the music era taught him that almost no other YouTuber of his generation had. He learned how merchandise worked. He learned what a supply chain looked like. He learned the difference between being the talent and owning the business. He watched musicians sign deals that gave them a fraction of what their audience was worth. He watched people with massive followings get taken advantage of by managers, labels, and distributors who understood the business side and knew the talent didn't. He saw Shane Dawson years later admit on camera that he had been getting ripped off on merchandise his whole life because he didn't know what he was supposed to be making. Jeffree knew what he was supposed to be making. He had spent his music years learning it the hard way. Most creators of his era were the talent. Jeffree Star decided to own the business. In 2014, he launched Jeffree Star Cosmetics. One product, a velour liquid lipstick. He had no manufacturer relationships, no retail distribution, no investor funding. He put it on his website and his fans bought it. Within hours, it sold out. He restocked. It sold out again. He added more shades. They sold out. He added highlighters, eyeshadow palettes, concealer, skincare. Every launch followed the same pattern. Announce it to his audience, drop it, watch it sell out within hours, restock, sell out again. By 2018, he was making $18 million a year from his various business ventures. That was enough to make him the 5th highest paid YouTuber on the planet. In 2019, he was 4th. And then came the Shane Dawson collaboration. If you don't know the Shane Dawson Conspiracy Collection, it is one of the most remarkable commerce events in YouTube history. Shane Dawson had never made a makeup product in his life. He was a filmmaker and comedian, not a beauty creator. Jeffree walked him through the entire product development process on camera in a 6-part documentary series that got hundreds of millions of views. The collection dropped in November 2019. It sold out in 30 minutes. Not 30 minutes on one platform, 30 minutes everywhere simultaneously. Morphe's website crashed. Jeffree Star Cosmetics' website crashed. The Mall of America appearance for the launch had lines that stretched through multiple floors. On launch day alone, the collection generated an estimated $35 million in sales. Shane Dawson's cut was around $10 million. Jeffree kept the rest. And here's the detail that most people missed at the time. The merchandise for the collaboration, the hoodies, the bags, the accessories, that was all handled through a company Jeffree part-owned called Killer Merch. Killer Merch was a fulfillment and merchandising company that handled design, production, warehousing, and shipping for influencer merchandise lines. It worked with about 40 creators. So, when the Shane Dawson collection dropped and every piece of merchandise sold out immediately, Killer Merch processed all of it. Jeffree got paid on the cosmetics revenue. Jeffree also got paid on the merchandise revenue through his stake in Killer Merch. He had built a situation where he was capturing margin at multiple points in the supply chain simultaneously. That's not an influencer business model. That's a vertically integrated commerce operation wearing a YouTube channel as a hat. Then 2020 happened. The wave of cancellations that swept through YouTube beauty that summer hit Jeffree hard. Racial slurs from his past, sexual assault allegations made by multiple men, a messy public implosion involving Tati Westbrook and James Charles where Jeffree got implicated in spreading information that may or may not have been true depending on who you believe. Then, Insider published a full investigative piece pulling together years of allegations from people who said they had been harassed or assaulted by him. Multiple men came forward. The piece was thorough and the allegations were serious. And then Morphe, his primary brick-and-mortar retail partner, the company that had expanded its own revenue to over $400 million, partly on the strength of Jeffree Star products, announced it was cutting all commercial ties. For most creators, losing your primary retail partner would be close to fatal. If your products are in someone else's stores and those stores drop you, your distribution disappears overnight. But Jeffree Star Cosmetics had never been primarily a retail play. It was a direct-to-consumer business built on his own website and his own audience. Morphe was bonus distribution. It was never the foundation. When Morphe left, Jeffree still had his website, his audience, his warehouse in Los Angeles, his supply chain relationships, and his stake in Killer Merch. He went dark for a period. He didn't make a big statement. He didn't do a tearful apology video. He just waited. And when he came back, he launched new products. His audience bought them. He went on an interview with Glossy in July 2021 and said something that became a headline. "I'm uncancelable." He wasn't being arrogant. He was being accurate about the specific financial structure he had built. You can cancel a creator. You cannot cancel a supply chain. His audience was loyal enough and his infrastructure was independent enough that the public relations damage did not translate into revenue damage. He lost brand partnerships. He lost influencer friends. He lost Morphe. He still had his direct-to-consumer channel generating over $100 million a year. And then he did something nobody in his position would normally do. He moved to Wyoming. Not for content. Not for a rebrand. Because he wanted to. He sold his $20 million Hidden Hills mansion in Los Angeles in 2022 and bought a ranch in Casper, Wyoming for $1.1 million, 500 acres. Over 40 yaks. He kept his cosmetics business headquarters in LA. He kept his warehouse in LA. He just wasn't in LA anymore. He told Logan Paul on the Impulsive podcast that he didn't need to have the biggest house on the block anymore. He told Entertainment Tonight that he had been going through a creative rut and Wyoming reset his brain. He launched a Yak Ranch social media account. He trademarked Star Yak Ranch across categories including clothing, pet food, yak fiber, butcher shops, and stud services. He filed for a retail location in Casper that would sell, and this is a real sentence, makeup and meat. He released a makeup palette called Star Ranch with shades named after Wyoming landmarks. He made yak plushies. None of this was ironic. None of it was a bit. He had made enough money that he could do whatever he wanted, and what he wanted was to live on a ranch with yaks in Wyoming and occasionally release makeup palettes that sold out in hours. The public relevance that depends on being in the center of things declined when he moved. His name recognition dropped. His drama involvement dropped. The gossip channels had less material. The revenue did not drop, because the revenue was never dependent on being relevant. It was dependent on a loyal audience that would show up for a product launch regardless of what was happening in the drama space. That audience showed up in Wyoming the same way it showed up in Los Angeles. Now, here's the comparison that makes this story make sense. Take any of the other major beauty YouTubers of Jeffree's era. Tati Westbrook built a supplement brand called Halo Beauty that eventually folded under the weight of her public implosion in 2020. She was worth a fraction of Jeffree at her peak and is essentially gone now. James Charles has a large audience, but his primary revenue is still brand deals and content, not owned products. When his controversies hit, his brand partnerships evaporated. He had no infrastructure underneath them to fall back on. Nikki Tutorials works with brands but doesn't own one. Her income is contingent on those relationships staying intact. Laura Lee had brand deals that evaporated when she got canceled in 2018, and she never fully recovered commercially. Manny Mue, who was part of the same Tati drama, similarly had his brand partnerships dry up with no owned business to cushion the fall. The pattern across all of them is the same. Most creators of that generation built income streams that were contingent on either their platform relationships, their brand partnerships, or their public reputation. All three of those things can disappear fast. Jeffree Star built a direct-to-consumer cosmetics company with his own supply chain, his own warehouse, his own fulfillment operation through Killer Merch, and his own retail website with an audience that bought whatever he put on it. The platform can change. The brand deals can disappear. The reputation can take a serious, documented hit. The website still works. The warehouse still ships. The lipstick still lands at someone's door. That structural difference is the entire explanation for why he is worth $200 million and most of his peers from the same era are not. He figured out that the creator is not the business. The business is the business. The creator is just the distribution channel for it. And when you own the business separate from your persona, the persona can take any amount of damage without taking the business down with it. He said it himself in 2021. Uncancelable. He was not talking about his reputation. He was talking about his supply chain. Rise and ruin. Every time.